if things developed out significantly in such a way that there was traffic that was needed. But where we're nowhere near 25,000 trips down Center Street, then that's a non-issue. The bypass road will be put in. We will put it in, and it'll be put in when it's needed, and there isn't a need right now. So that's just not correct. When Mr. Hansen talks about a water line easement not being given, so he lost a buyer, I frankly did not hear about him losing the buyer until much later down the road. We were always told that the reason that the buyer was going away was because we weren't putting in the bypass road in the time frame that they wanted. Now, the city did come to us and talk to us about a water line easement, but I was never told that they were going to lose a buyer because they didn't have a water line easement. Rich Hansen and his group never came to us and never talked to us about that. They never said, we need this easement or we're going to lose a buyer. And the city never told us, we need this easement or they're going to lose a buyer. That was something that was totally new after the fact, after that buyer was lost, that we heard that that was needed for them to keep a contract. So it is incorrect to say that we withheld something so that they would lose a buyer. That's not right. In terms of Red Ledge's financial situation, it's very easy to throw out numbers of how much money somebody made and maybe an owner of Red Ledge's. But they don't take into account how many tens of millions of dollars we put in just to keep Red Ledge's afloat during the downturn. Millions and millions of dollars. And I think the impact to the community and to the city, if we were to let that project go and let it go under, would have been much worse than anything that we've talked about here today. And so it took a heck of a lot of personal capital, hard-earned, lifetime capital, to keep this project afloat. And because of that, it's now something very good. And now it is starting to sell, and it's starting to sell well. But we're still in the red, and we definitely haven't dug out from all the personal capital that was put in during the downturn. So it's easy to come up here and parrot that, oh, well, online it says there's tens of millions of dollars flowing in, or whatever amount was he said. But that doesn't take into account all of the sacrifice and time and effort that was put in. Lastly, we don't pretend to be in charge of anything. I think we have tried to be a good member of this community in all aspects. We haven't tried to be a bad member in any way, shape, or form. We haven't tried to dictate to the city what the city should or shouldn't do. What we have tried to do is be a partner with the city. And I think there are a lot of things that all of these people are benefiting from because of Red Ledge's at this point in time. One of which is a very nice rec center that we spent over $4.5 million to the county on, so that people could have a rec center and go in and play tennis, and soccer, and basketball, and everything else. And there's a multitude of other things that we've done for the community. I don't need to list anything. So I would say that yes, we are asking for an extension. I think we've done a lot to help out the community. I think we've been a good partner to the city. I've never heard any complaints from staff or council or anyone else within the city about the way Red Ledge has conducted themselves. We've tried to always be honest and have integrity in everything we do. And there's always another side of the story when people stand up and spout all these things off. I'm looking for any questions.
Thank you. Rick, this last comment. Rick McCloskey, sorry it's so late. First thing I want to say is I think that City Attorney Smedley's suggestion about a meeting that has some representation from the council, perhaps even the mayor, city attorney, red letters, good idea, staff. Because a lot of stuff just gets, we're not getting anywhere meeting just with red ledges. And I think they meet with the city or they talk to the council. You do the same thing, but we're not coming to any kind of a real understanding. A lot of things get said that can't be responded to right away that aren't maybe accurate or true. And so I think that would be a really good idea to try to resolve. I personally feel it's really important that all these issues get settled or we're going to just be here. I mean, how many times we've been before the council? How much time's been wasted? Staff members, personally, the council, I think we should try and get a additional extension, here's a few things you need, and not ask the Red Ledge's permission. A couple things, many times mentioned the $1 million they paid us. When I agreed to throw out our previous approved plat, the fateful night of a city council meeting like this, there were some agreements that we shook hands to, most of which, except for the money, have not been kept. By the way, the amount they paid was $955,000. We gave up about 3 acres of land. Also threw away a couple $100,000 worth of engineering. Had to start over. I had, as I mentioned, I had 7 lenders on the property, 4 of which were recorded, but I had to get them to sign off on. So there was a lot more to it, and it wasn't just that money. None of that money went into my pocket. So there was a cost for us to change to provide this easement. They've honored part of it, but several of the things they have not. And all we're asking for, when we talk about things we want, none of them vary from what we originally had been promised. We're not asking for any more. We're not asking for extensions. We're not asking for more money. We're just asking for the same thing that was promised us back then. And I'll just suggest that they come before the council asking for mercy for an extension, but they're not willing to offer the same to us. We don't agree that those agreements are invalid, that they claim, but even if they were, we know what the original intent was, and for them to ask for you guys to help them and for them not to offer that to us is really difficult. Anyway, I don't think you're going to come to any conclusion tonight because there's still a lot of things in here. I would love to see us all come together where we could try to solve these issues once and for all, get a final agreement so we don't have to have any more meetings.
This item took a little more time than I anticipated, but I think it's been important to the council to hear different sides, probably Red Ledges and Stonecreek, so together as much information tonight I think we have in a long time on this subject. So I'd like to put it back to the council, but reminding Chief got this little red light on, he blinked it twice at me. That means we move on to the next agenda item. So I'll give it to the council, what they'd like to do with this item first.
Mayor?
Yes, Heidi?
I'd like to make a motion. This is not related to the tabled item. This is a new motion, please, but it relates to this material, obviously. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that the City Council requests the water line easement from Red Ledges immediately as a good faith effort to continue discussions on all the other issues.
I have a motion by Councilmember Franco to request the water line easement from Red Ledges. I have a second by Councilmember Crittenden. Any other discussion on the motion stated? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I have 2 nays, Councilman Bradshaw and Councilmember Smith. Okay, so a motion was approved with 3 affirmative votes. That motion is approved. What would you like to do with council on the 4th Amendment, the local agreement we have?
I'll make a motion. I move that we, well, I guess do we have to first do something instead of motion? I move that we do create some type of committee, study group, call it what you will, similar to what Mark Smedley suggested, to work some of these issues out between all the parties as Mark suggested.
Thank you. Potter has made a motion for the safety committee. If we're going to this back to work thing, what form that committee is, you want to use Mr. Smedley and start to make the committee now.
I think we just go with it. I don't think we go back to work. Yeah. Get rid of representatives from each of the parties. Are you saying
Obviously, you have Red Ledges, you have Stonecreek, Mr. Smedley,
staff and council?
all the council,
No,
just 2 members,
2 members.
any volunteers?
How about one of us?
One public.
Heidi.
Yeah, they'll do it. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm happy
Board
to do it.
too, we have a public meeting, it's more public meeting. I think Mr. Mumford ought to be on that committee too, the engineer.
Yes.
And yes, definitely, and a member from the local area community, somebody from the public is very involved.
Any volunteers in the audience want to be
Volunteer
there?
to that, Tracy, be on that thing.
Tracy does?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think that's a public issue for a bunch of people to get involved in, and trying to get to businesses, how they should conduct their business.
You're okay with the rest of the committee?
Well, let me just, as legal counsel, I think we want to be careful about just opening up to,
Oh, that's fine.
what we're trying to do, again, decide what you want. I mean, do you want to step in? What kind of a government animal do you want to be? My initial idea, give you what you want, was not to just open up to everybody, but to get the parties together. I don't know, we're going to talk about a mediator, but,
Let's just go with
you
your,
know, because then we're going to be,
right,
we're
let's
going to be
just go.
re-educating everybody.
Okay, you tell me what you think is the best idea, because I want to go with your.
Well, I would think we would
Your
have.
legal expertise, because we're getting in legal messes here.
Yeah.
I'd love to go with it.
I think I would like to be there. I think Bart ought to be there. I think Mark Anderson ought to be there. I think representatives from the council ought to be there, and the parties and their legal counsel.
Okay, perfect, let's go with that.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Franco. Any further discussion on the motion from stated? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll put some type of arrangements, like the city will take the lead on it and bring the people together and try to work their base schedule.
And we can do that this month, please.
We'll look at every schedule and see what comes up with.
That's a lot of people.
Thank you.
One's not available.
Did we identify who will represent the council?
There was Heidi and John, or Heidi. Heidi wanted to go between.
Mayor?
Yes?
Mayor, who is going to write the letter to Red Ledges immediately requesting that water line easement? And what kind of deadline do we need in order to proceed? I would hope that we could get a deadline within a week.
City staff will put it together, from legal and sharing. And then whenever they get it together, they'll probably want to prove that before the council before we send it out.
Well, it did say immediately in the motion, so that doesn't mean delay.
It won't be delayed, I just want to make sure that all the council is in agreement before we send it right out. So we'll probably.
That can be done through email.
Yeah, we can just email.
Well, and let me just raise something that as I'm thinking through this, and there was a motion made, and I have to make sure that the motion was affiliated with the table. I don't know if we ever pulled, I don't know if we ever pulled this thing off the table.
Well,
Hold on, wait. You guys are putting me in a little bit of a quandary here. Discussing, which I think was good, you were discussing all this issue with regard to a table item. And I'm not so concerned as to whether that was pulled off the table or not. You went on into the discussion, which I think was okay because that was noticed up for the agenda item here. Then you had Councilman Franco make a motion, and you guys took action. You just got to think that through and make sure that because whether the item was noticed up, you did have people here listening to it. I think the motion was directly indicated to one of the portions in the table because it did talk about the easement, so I feel comfortable with that item. And public was here to discuss that. So I'm just working that through as we go through it. So I know immediate, I know what immediate means to you.
Mark?
Yes.
I'm happy to make the motion to untable the motion and then to take the vote again on the previous motion if you feel like that's the best procedure.
Is this a fourth amendment to a different.
We can't.
No, it isn't.
I don't think it's needed because it's there, it's sitting there. Heidi said when she made the motion that without interfering with the table motion, it's there.
And that it was related, yes.
Everything we've talked about, Mark, is germane to that table motion, except we haven't taken it off.
Yeah, I'm confident with that, because I just shoot before.
This is an amendment on the new local agreement.
But it's on the table.
I know, but it was, but the motion was narrow. The motion, Heidi's motion was narrow with regard to the water line easement, which was part of Ron's Crittenden's, part of Council Crittenden's tabled item this evening. So I'm just thinking that through, just so it gets recorded.
So, Mark,
Yes.
it also continued to keep things on the table. It allowed for a continuation of the table motion. I didn't specify when it would be continued to, but it's implicit in the next meeting.
Your motion, and I'll review the motion as we look to it. Very good. I hope that's what it was. Very good.
The table motion can come off anytime three of us want to, and it's not going to be ready for the next meeting time we meet with this group.
Yeah, we're going to need time. We're going to need time for that group to meet. And very good.
Let's move on to item number 8. Residents looking for approval of phase 2F. Mr. Tony Kohler give an explanation, or Todd, maybe that's your ground up there. What you plan on doing?
2F was actually a plat that was approved, I believe it was in July of 14. We had prepared that plat for a builder who had come in and requested to build additional clustered units that we're calling the club cottages, club cabins. And, mountain villas, that's the name of that area. On a different topic now, I'm trying to catch up. So the mountain villas, the builder decided that he was not going to go ahead with that area and build additional mountain villas. So he backed out of that contract, so we never recorded that plat. So I'm back now with that plat. We have a new builder who's come in and has expressed interest in building those mountain villas. And so this is revisiting that same plat. It's about 12 units. These are attached units within the mountain villa area. We call them twin homes. And you can see here the plat.
Council, ready for the question, Mr. Gaines?
There's a map in the materials that I think shows your whole project, and we just wondered where that fits in with that. It's the next one, that one.
See where it says site?
Right there.
No, I know, but that's the whole red ledge.
That's all the red ledges. So at the very bottom of that map is Center Street.
So it's just off of the park area.
Yes, correct.
And just for information, where would the collection pond be in terms of relation to the thing?
Which collection?
The basin?
The Great Big Stormwater Basin?
Yeah.
That would be just south of it. So the big existing pond, yep, there you go. He's marking it in there.
Okay, thank you.
Council, any further questions?
I move that we approve Red Ledges Phase 2F.
You can't do anything when
More to approve Red Ledges
you
phase
can't
2F.
interrupt them while doing that.
Councilor Bradshaw.
That's what I asked
Gary
before.
Beeson.
That's okay.
After these
Any further
motions,
discussion? The motion has been stated. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, we put it back to Red Ledges again. Some lots are being pulled together. One project explain this.
Yeah, so this is a gentleman who came in and purchased 3 lots from us, and he's now designing a home to go on his lots, and he's